welcome to Jacksonville. I'm Chip Davis. That's P-Dubs. We're 904 Unfiltered, and that is John Metcalf.
The man.
Woo!
Get some.
Man, hey, that right there, I don't know if you've heard our other intros, but Patrick did an amazing job with that. But there's nothing better than live.
I'm not worthy.
You are worthy.
Oh,
yes, you are. But there's nothing better than having a true live, insane guitar player like John Metcalf just sitting here with us on the 904 Unfiltered. And guys, I got to tell you, I think this is going to be our best show yet.
Brother, you've got some talent, man.
Did I not tell you, Patrick?
Dude, thank you for coming. I mean, this is my show. We've been doing fishing. I love fishing, but this is where I roll.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate you guys asking me to be on here.
It's going to be great.
Well, I've been telling Patrick for like the last couple of weeks, because after we got done shooting our last show with Joe Capo, and Patrick did a great job and dropping all that, but I think it was time for us to move into like a different direction. And if we are going to be 904 Unfiltered, we don't want to just be fishing, which, you know, I love to fish, but I wish I was, you know, in my other life, which I might come back as a rock star, but the one thing I always want to do,
grasshopper.
I think everybody's ultimate goal was to get up on the stage in front of 90,000 people. At least that would be my goal, and have my guitar player to my right just cutting a riff like that and me be able to sing. But since I don't have the vocals, I have to substitute that with the microphone and do a podcast. But that, John, was freaking amazing.
Oh, thank you guys, man.
I mean, absolutely. Take it, yeah. That to John. I mean, that was, you know, who is John Metcalf? Tell us about yourself.
John Metcalf is a beaches local. Been a surfer my whole life. Put surfing before everything when I was youth, but then the guitar has been part of my life, and then I went to college and got a couple degrees, and now I'm a math teacher as well. So, you know. Where
was your the spot? Where the poles, the pier? What'd you do?
You know, I'm a big poles fan. I've been surfing the poles since I went to first grade in Finnegan Elementary, which is right there in Hannah Park. So I'm super familiar with Hannah Park. But you know. So
you grew up in the Roseau, and
I did.
I started surfing in 1980.
Yeah, I was already surfing by 80.
I was 1 year old.
I was some of the guys I grew up with was Alan Rick, Jimmy Harshman, Shaw Madison.
Yeah.
You know, Richard Thompson.
Of course.
And it's funny because I never really ran across them, but there's so many rippers.
You forgot Mitch Coffin?
Well, everybody knows the mayor, Mitch Coffin. But I mean, so I was also a West Side boy coming over, and you know, we always surfed the blowhole. You know, when I lived on the West Side, we always
when it used to exist.
When it used to exist, and you could still drive when there. You had the middles, and you had the blowhole, and on North Swell. I mean, it blow. So but we were so stupid. We just died at the poles on a nor'easter, not the poles, but the blowhole, because we didn't really know the poles existed. So then everyone's like, you got to go to the poles on a northeast, you know, on a big nor'easter because it holds it. And then you show up at blowhole when it goes west, northwest, and you go to the blowhole and you get these big. It's always 2.5 foot bigger at the poles.
And then
you
get adventurous. You got to head south, you know,
to Smyrna.
Smyrna, you know, St. Augustine, don't blow that hell off.
No, I mean, it's
A Street, B Street.
And I'm not speaking on behalf like I know what I'm doing. I kind of like opted out of surf, but I gave it 10 good years. But
Smyrna is amazing. You know, you can head further south. There's all kinds of breaks on the left. I won't list them all. You guys can look at them.
You ever jump off the rocks, high tide, A Street?
I have.
Fun.
And when the rocks were there.
Yeah,
they're not there. I haven't been down there. They're not there anymore.
I don't see them anymore.
Remember when they were in Jack's Beach?
Yeah, I do remember in Jack's Beach as well.
And the old pier and. So
I remember the boardwalk when I was young. So
I remember all the games. Remember it was all blighted. Remember the blighted area?
I do. And Pier 7 and Peelers.
Oh, we're showing our age, John.
Well, I don't remember any of that.
Some of our listeners will understand it. Some of them might like, what are they talking about? But
what's cool is we, you know, like Kelly and Coco, he's learned to surf small waves. And when you learn to surf small waves, you get better.
You have to.
Better. Because if you can't surf small waves, you can't surf. Right.
And so, when you get something that's actually working, it's like, this is too easy.
Yeah. And then when you get on big waves, you've got so much canvas to it's great.
Did I tell you the story when I met Sean Slater just recently?
Yes, you did.
I was at Singleton's, and he came in, and I was sitting out there, and he had these.
Was he with Buddy?
He was by himself, and he was outside, and I'd walked outside to make a phone call, and came back, and Piper was in town.
No.
And he didn't say I'm Kelly Slater's brother and all that. He said he kind of knew what the Flounder Pounder was, and at this point, you know, I didn't know who he was, but he had these sunglasses, and you know, I love Miggy sunglasses, but they were the Baggio. They call them Baggio.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but they were just I was like, and I told the guys that own Miggy's eyewear, the ones I'm wearing now, I said, these guys, my buddy had it. But the cool thing was, John, is like, he never mentioned that his brother was, you know, Kelly Slater. And he was very cool and humbled. And so the East Coast guys were really, that was really cool. And Sean, I know what he said. He used to surf for Well, he
Quicksilver? Or no,
well, he had a bunch of really big sponsors, and at first I was like, and then after
Matt Keckley, probably. Matt
well,
Keckley.
and he was talking. I'd surf with these guys. Oh, he showed me the picture of Mitch Kaufman was in Mexico. And he'd Mexico, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I've been to Mexico." And he goes, "Yeah, I surfed all these guys," and didn't even know it was Kelly Slater's brother, which is, to me is like, and I wasn't disrespecting because I'm always, but I was like, then when he left, my buddy was like, "That's Sean Slater." I said, "That's Kelly Slater's brother."
It is.
But what he does, he works for the Corps of Engineers. He's a sub for the Corps of Engineers. So Buddy Evans is a really good friend of his. So he drives one of those big single screw, and he takes the crews back and forth to the tugs and all that.
He's got his captain's license.
Yeah, he's got wavy. I mean, he's like for whatever he could drive a big giant one. But
I don't know.
And you know what? And he was staying at Hannah Park because he's keeping it down. But he's working a lot out of Mayport and all that. And it was
staying in the campground.
Yeah. Because he pulled it up here so he didn't have to pay in a hotel and all that. I mean. But of all the people I've met in this world that have a celebrity sibling, I don't think I've ever met anybody that never even. I mean, Kelly Slater. Yeah, if I saw Kelly Slater, because
you got to think he's been underneath that shadow.
I know, but I mean, you know how some people still act, dude. Some people still throw their freaking brother around, and they're like, I mean,
right. Well, just drop a name.
He's earned his own. He's earned his own.
So getting back to
if he was my brother, I would.
If it was Kelly Slater was my brother, I would go, yeah, Kelly Slater, don't you? But it's just. It's kind of like, it was just cool. So getting back on script here, talking about John Metcalf here, the phenomenal guitar player and math teacher. Tell us about that. Aren't you a professor?
Yes, been a professor for about 20 years.
Do you wear your Vans at school?
Occasionally.
Yeah, I love
occasionally.
it.
On the Fridays, we're allowed to have casual dress up, but I sneak them in all the time.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
And your math, right? You and Sean get along, right? Sean Rampo?
Grandpa Check, how are you? I know you're watching.
He's Lit Ripper 904 now. He's Lit Ripper 904.
In your eye, Sean. In your eye. But,
cheers to Sean.
That's an inside joke. But no, Sean Rampachek and I, he got into math after I got into math, and we talked a lot about it. So it's a fun subject for me. What's interesting about math is I actually have a job where they pay me to do what I would be doing if I wasn't at work.
Right.
I just have this analytical brain where I wake up.
You think that helps you with your guitar playing?
Music is very mathematical. It's also feeling. It's a double-edged sword because, of course, if you look at the scales and the length of time, and that's all math. Of course, music is from the heart.
Right.
But
you have to understand the chords.
I feel like
11. Remember 11.
That's a setting.
I have an amp over there that goes to 12, just so you know. So one more than 11.
The only thing these guys told me as we were getting ready for this show was don't forget the number 11. I said, okay. That's as good as I get, But
that's right. I remember.
Yeah, remember 11. So
4711.
So John Metcalf, extraordinary surfer, ripper,
mathematician,
and we'll touch on about my neighbor Rob Kovac and what we did a weekend ago. But we'll get up on that one on the second segment. So John Metcalf, if you haven't listened to this guy play, he plays in a couple local bands. John, which ones?
I play in a band called Psychic Deli, which
I've heard, which is amazing.
Can I do a quick plug here?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is your show, bro.
Oh, okay.
You'll be at Bedlam next weekend, next Saturday night.
Yeah, next weekend, 21st at Bedlam, right here on Mayport Road.
Yeah, I'll go.
And then we are at Voussoir the 28th. And if you haven't been to the Voussoir, you need to check it out. I know it's been around here since the 50s, and it's had some interesting times, and some people are afraid to go there, but I will tell you, it's absolutely fantastic.
I'll tell you after we shoot my story.
Lewis is the owner. He's awesome. The food there is absolutely astounding.
Now, are you doing that? Are you doing both of them with
the pork chop
psychedelics?
sandwich, the fried pork chop sandwich. If you don't get one of those, and Lewis, shout out to you, man. Thank you for everything you do. And the Voussoir is a wonderful place. You guys should check it out.
And that's on that. You know what? That's right. Isn't that off of not Levy Road, but where the pie shop is?
It's interesting you say that. It's off Roberts Road and between Roberts and Lewis. And Lewis is the owner of Voussoir, and that's named after him. And Roberts is Lewis's dad, who started the Voussoir. So between Robert and Lewis,
Are they Mayport locals?
That's his dad. They started that in 19...
It's been a long time.
So
It's been a long time. If I get the date wrong, I'm sorry, but I know it was in the 50s. And hell, I remember when I was in first grade, we would drive down Mayport Road and I would see the signs for the Voussoir. And my dad would say, we're not going there, son.
Just be careful. So that fried pork chop.
You know who pumps up that pork chop sandwich is Johnny Pops.
Oh,
Johnny Pops.
Yeah, that pork chop is amazing. Just be careful because there might be a bone in.
Well,
just so you know. But it's one of the most. It's slap your mama good. I mean, it's
it is
crazy.
everything. The fried fish is amazing. It's phenomenal.
So it's a restaurant bar.
Yeah, it's a restaurant bar, and the facility is amazing inside. The stage is huge. The sound system is amazing. It actually is the sound system that came out of.
Is it as big as Bedlam?
Freebird. Remember Freebird?
Is it the same size as Bedlam?
No, it's 3 times.
It's bigger.
Oh, it's bigger. Okay, okay.
Yeah, you walk in. There's like a bar.
I've never been.
Where you get the food, and then you go back. There's pool tables, and
isn't that where you got roofied?
No, I'm just gonna tell that story. I was gonna tell that story off the air.
I'm sorry. It is not bad. It is not important, Phil. I had to throw. You know, you weren't gonna get this long without Chip saying something. I like it.
Nice.
Come on.
So let's have old John Metcalf play us.
John, play us one of your. Now, it doesn't have to be our favorite, but one that you love and you can.
Well, first of all, let me see if I can make my guitar sound like a horse. What do you think?
Do it.
Yeah. I don't have that sound effect. We need to do that. That's sick. Absolutely killer.
Nice.
And I almost want to go get leather pants and get big hair.
I got the big hair.
I would pay money if people want to see Patrick in tight leathers and what you said, bouffant hair.
Big hair. Don't ask me to do another poll on this thing because I don't know how to do it yet.
Well, that sounded good, but John, that was
killer,
awesome, man. That was awesome. Well, so anyhow, let's.
How did you like?
Yeah, who was your influence on your guitar playing? Number one, did guitar and surfing, because music and surfing have always been like a 1-2 thing. So as you were already surfing and growing up, what made you pick up the guitar?
Well, I got to give a shout out to my big brother. There's a couple reasons, but I'll hit the first one. At about age 10 years old, I was 100% a Kiss fan. I used to paint my face. I had the whole room set up with Kiss posters and records, and I thought Kiss was the greatest band on the planet. And my brother, who's about 4 years older than me, walked in one day and put Led Zeppelin 1 onto my record player. And by the next day, there were no more Kiss posters. No more. And then the next album that I was really influenced by is Deep Purple's Burn. I don't know if you know that one. Well, that wasn't.
What was the song that Deep Purple did? The one that everyone loved? Was that the one?
That one everybody loves. Oh, wait a minute. How's
That's
that
the only way I can play it.
Yeah, we're
not
not
going to
allowed
get
to
our YouTube kicked off the air.
But I like the other one
probably
too.
Right, probably not.
So Deep Purple was an influence. But I got to ask you something real quick.
Oh, Machine. Highway Star.
Yep. And I'm so excited about the show. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, you can't go. But also, fast forwarding, if I'm looking at your guitar, the first person that comes to my mind is Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, it's once I saw Eddie Van Halen do the tapping thing.
We're not worthy.
That wasn't quite right, but it's close.
Oh my God, it wasn't quite right.
It's quite right to keep it, unless get copyright problems.
Well,
You're playing on the neck?
Yeah.
I can't stand up for a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce you, John Metcalf?
This guy right here. Sick.
Thank you. Do you like this better than fishing?
I can't wipe the
John, that
smell
was
of
amazing.
this.
So
It's
Eddie
sick.
Van Halen obviously was an influence in your guitar.
So much so that I made this guitar after Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstein, as they call it. I bought a Charvel body here, and I got a Fender Strat neck. That's exactly what, well, pretty close to what Eddie did. And then I put a humbucker on what would traditionally be a single coil. And then I just kept it simple with one volume. And then this right here is something that Eddie made famous. It's called a Floyd Rose bridge. And this bridge right here is actually one made in Germany, 35 years ago. So it's one of the original ones. They're hard to find. I don't know if anybody still makes them. I know they're being made by, out of state or out of country places like Mexico and Taiwan and wherever they can make those things. But this one right here says made in Germany, and it's amazing. It's the heart and soul of this guitar. It's got springs in the back. You can't see them, but
So were you one and done when you built that, or did you build more?
unfortunately, never one and done.
And that was what, in 84 you built that one, John?
Yeah, about 84, 85. But yeah, I have about 23 guitars.
That's why I asked you which one he brought. He goes, you know which one
I have
brought.
a whole room dedicated to guitars, and
As you
I've
should.
got too many, and they've got to go.
Never say that, John. No, it's just like
It's
surfboard. It's
absolutely
like
true,
fishing
though.
poles. I mean, you collect
You had
them.
to say that because the wife is going to watch this.
Yes, and when you walk in and you pick up one and go, I haven't played this in 30 years, but I remember
But
when
isn't
I
that
did.
cool though? I mean, what was that one guitar they always had? It was the bigger, the Stratocaster.
Yes, I have
Yeah,
plenty of
you
those.
got one of those,
Yes, I do.
and you got a Les Paul.
Of course.
So
You
we-
like that? I know a little bit about guitars, don't you?
Wow, yeah.
Well,
I
you
told you
just
I
go-
woke up in my dream and I was a rock star
You just did Wikipedia
without
guitar.
a guitar.
You just
Oh,
looked
I
up
could-
guitar on Wikipedia, I think.
I could go on for forever and ever. Yes.
So were you that guy like sitting at the beach around the fire with the surfboard stuck in the sand
Who, me?
playing? No,
I
absolutely not.
was.
I
I had
figured
an
you-
acoustic guitar. We used to sit around and,
Back when you could burn a fire on the beach.
Yeah.
Miclers.
Yeah,
Back in
yeah.
Miclers.
Crossroads.
Crossroads. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
that.
Yeah.
Nobody
Hey,
remembers
Racetrack
Crossroads.
I
Road.
remember
Racetrack
Crossroads.
Road. I was a West Sider. We went straight down Racetrack
yeah,
Road
close out there.
all the way, and then you had two poles. You drove around them,
Right.
and you could go right.
And
It
the
was all.
parking lot was a great place.
And
the
you
beach-
just you drove on the beach. You know,
And
I
now
mean,
it's.
I
you
don't
can't
even go
get a
there. I haven't
spot.
been there in 40 years, man. 30
It-
years.
It's been.
And it
owned
never
by-
really broke great, John. It's like it had to be really big to break. Back in the
my
day,
my house wasn't far from there. I lived off Solana Road, so that was close.
right?
And so I could.
What about writing in the road? You ever go there?
Of course. We
You
used
like
to call
that,
it
huh?
BA.
Yeah, it had the big tree that hung over. It had all the writing in the road.
And the writing
then
was
you
a
had the
bunch
gate
of,
station out there.
the college kids.
Yeah,
and,
they wrote all that stuff. So we all and you could park there now. It's big houses
No,
all
no,
there.
you can't park
But
there.
we always check
Riding
Crossroads
Road,
first,
then we go to the gate station.
and then the gate station was next, which always broke kind of funky, and then Volano. And when I was growing up surfing, Volano broke well, and then it had I guess it went dormant, but now
I
it's
have
back.
never been barreled as much as I've been barreled
Yeah.
in Volano, and I've also
And-
never been blasted into the sand. More
And
than
it's coquina, and it'll
It's
kill
a
you.
cocaine.
And
This is the scheme back then. Volano high tide, blowhole low tide.
That's right. That
And
was
you,
it.
and you had to go to the
Brownsville.
bread shop.
Southwest
Remember the bread
Brownsville.
shop on the island?
Of course, and you had to drive down the road that had the trees over it right
Yep,
here.
that's the first road
you
off
get
the bridge.
barreled.
What's it called?
So right behind Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah. Jeez, it's
No
right,
name
it's
road
right-
or something.
No, it's got a name. It's right where the
That's where you
the
turn
Fountain
left.
of Youth is
Yeah.
where the Fountain of Youth is.
Yeah, it's right when you come off the
It's
bridge.
behind-
Hibiscus.
it's the only people that knew it were the guys going from Volano to Blowhole and beating the traffic because it
Yeah.
always backed up by the trolley.
It was
and
just
the
cool.
Ferris
to go.
wheel.
We just went down because.
Well, see, we know. I know a little bit. Like I said, I surfed up to like 90, and then I started fishing. And then once I started fishing, I got sick of waiting on waves, and I was like, I can fish anytime I want.
So now you wait on.
But I still follow it.
Now you wait on the fish.
You know how surfing is. Surfing is, even though we might not do it as much as we did, we always look and watch the guys surfing. And the innovation, what they're doing now, is beyond what I'd ever dreamed. I was just trying not to get killed.
I spent many a winter in Puerto Rico.
I was telling Patrick, I asked him what his favorite surf spot is, Patrick.
What's your favorite surf spot?
Well, wilderness, of course.
Nice.
When I say favorite, though, that's not exactly true. My favorite is Dogman's. Dogman's is just a
Where's
little
Dogman's?
bit south of Maria's, right there.
Puerto Rico. Everything's
Yeah, no.
It's kind of like where just before you get to Tres Palmas. It's a wonderful. I mean, it's insane. That is my.
Don't
favorite.
you have a good friend that lives down there, Dennis Rich?
I do, Dennis. Yeah.
Are you
Hey,
regular foot or goofy foot?
I'm regular friend. Hey, Dennis.
Shout out to Dennis
Shout out
Rich,
to
holding
Dennis
down
Rich.
the fort, long time freaking
The
Puerto Rico.
madman.
Madman. Never met you, Dennis, but you're like a local legend in Jack's Beach. So,
And not to mention in Puerto Rico.
and
Actually,
Porto.
for a while, the cover of the magazine on the airplane used to have this big wave breaking
Sky
in,
Mall?
and there was Dennis Rich on the.
no, that was Sharper Image.
Oh, that maybe. Yeah.
Remember the Sharper Image? I always had the Sharper Image.
Yeah.
Mad shout out to Dennis and Carol Rich, man. I love you guys.
Shout out. Yeah, let's
And
hear
you
it for
too,
these guys.
Nicole. You too, Nicole.
Holding
So,
down Puerto Rico. So if you're ever in Puerto Rico and don't drop in on Dennis Rich.
Yeah.
You won't.
We're getting close to the cut of the segment, so I'm gonna have you play
That
us
went
out,
that
John.
quick? Was that fun?
I mean, we're at 23, so
We're at 23, but
So I'm gonna have you play us out, and then I'll fade you. You just keep playing, I'll fade us out, and then shit, you go.
hey guys, enjoy John Metcalf.
Davina Photography, coming to the new Angie Subs location, Atlantic Beach, Florida. Reveal party date coming soon. Party date. Davina Photography, coming to the new Angie Subs location, Atlantic Beach, Florida. Reveal party date coming soon.
Somebody give me a doctor. Woo! Come on. How about that? Dating back to what? John Metcalf, number one. What year did Van Halen 2 come out?
Oh, probably 1980, 1981.
So it was Van Halen 2, Women and Children First.
Then
Then the one where they did with the site where he had his guitar on the cover.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, my
You had
memory.
to say that, didn't you?
So, anyhow, guys, for those who don't know, that was anyhow.
Women and children for no. Jeez.
It was-
So what the
David
hell did
I'm speechless.
Unchained was on there.
Tim and Ken rockin' change.
And Mean Streets was on there.
All right. Oh yeah.
That's so good.
And that's it.
How long?
The sound to the guitar, the git fiddle.
To get fatal.
And no, I guess since I was about 11, I started really trying, and I should be better since
you're
I'm much
fine.
older than
You ready
11.
for this? You ready?
You're good.
Diver down.
Oh no, it wasn't Diver Down.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no.
Because it went from
What's
wait,
the
it
one
went,
after Diver Down?
Fair warning.
Fair Warning. That's
Fair
the
Warning.
one.
And then they went diver down. Then they went pop.
Yeah.
Jump. They lost me
Jump.
at jump. When he jumped, I jumped off the bandwagon.
Now I have to tell you though that once they got to Sammy Hagar though,
Yeah.
it got better. And by the way, I've got to plug my great adventure. It's called Redfoot: The Ultimate Sammy Hagar Experience. We've got a huge show on the 19th of July in Flagler Beach at a place called Tortugas. It's a Saturday. It's all day festival. There's a bunch of bands, a bunch of food. It's right across from the pier. You can't miss it. And then the headline of the night will be the band Redfoot.
Redfoot.
And
for
I'm
those who don't
super
know-
excited about it. I hope everybody can show up. It's a Sammy Hagar tribute band. It's actually the Sammy Hagar Ultimate Experience, and I'm super proud to be playing that show. So.
And this dude looks just.
The backstory on that is, I got a text message from Fat Boy, and he goes, "I'm at
Scott Evans."
Say, give a big shout out to Fat Boy. I love you, Scotty. Hey. Anyhow, he sent me this picture, and the first thing I said was, "Is Sammy Hagar in town and he's playing with John Metcalf?" That's the first thing I said.
He looks just like him, dude.
I mean, people, if you've never seen anybody like identical, and he looks like he has the same energy as Sammy Hagar.
He does. His name is Dennis Allen. He's actually a transplant, just moved from Hawaii. Ultimately cool.
I wish we could put the picture up.
Fits right in.
I may or may not be able to handle that.
I don't know if he can, put
Maybe
up
one
with
day, when we get him in here one day with us, huh?
Well,
wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it'd be great. He'd come on in. He would love to do.
I would
a show
love
with
to
us.
have all four of us. You'd have to come too.
I just hope he doesn't leave because the surf here isn't anything like Hawaii.
Well, that's why I started fishing.
That's got to be culture shock.
That's why I started
Major
fishing. I got
culture
tired of
shock.
waiting.
I'm sure.
And wave shock.
Oh yeah.
So
But no, Dennis Allen, shout out to you, man, and everybody
Dennis,
else in Redford.
you rock, bro. You look
Donnie
just like,
and Joey, I'm not forgetting you, and Dennis Reed, I'm not forgetting you
What's
either.
Donnie's last name?
Donnie Keister.
And what does he play?
He plays the drums. Or
Okay.
he
So
plays-
how many? It's a 5-piece band.
at the moment, yes.
So let me go real quick because I know what I'm talking about. So you got lead, rhythm, bass, drums.
There's a guitar player, a keyboard player, a drummer, a bass player, and then of course Sammy.
What happens like with Leonard Skinner had like 4 guys on guitar? Who was the lead guitar in Leonard Skinner?
I don't think there
They
was
didn't have
anyone,
four.
but if I had to say, it would probably be Alan Collins. Although I mean Gary Ross.
That was a real tall guy.
Yeah, with the hair like mine.
Yeah.
And
But
Gary Rosington.
I ask out of not knowing.
And then of
That's what I
course
mean.
all the famous riffs were written by the other guy that left.
So their mother was a sweetheart when she used to have Freebirds at the beach.
Oh yeah.
And the poor thing when that accident happened.
Oh yeah,
It
that was terrible.
It just put him out of business. It was just so much. And shout out to them because
Shout out to Leonard Skinner because I grew up listening to Leonard Skinner. But also real quick, let's give a big shout out to Mixin' Ari. Mixin' Ari is keeping us.
turn it up.
Mixin' Ari.
Mixin'
Nick
Ari.
Michelle and the boys over there keeping
Get
us
your socks
hydrated. Go get your Mixin' Ari. These guys are great. I mean, they're when I say they're a sponsor, they're a supporter of the 904 podcast. And
Well, they're supporting me right now.
yeah,
so.
and I tell you what, does it taste good? It's
It
very
does. No,
refreshing.
this is great. This is
This
local.
is- you know what's so crazy? Is like, Ben Grichel's son Nick and 2 of his buddies started it, and they're really
Doesn't he do AB Kitchen?
he's AB
Yes,
the chef.
and
yeah.
it's phenomenal. And it's first class. Those guys are
Well,
first
everything
class.
that Grichel's do
Everything
are
there
first
is
class.
amazing. Well, true.
Everything Ben's done.
Shout
But
out to Ben and Liza.
Liza,
Liza.
yep. And we just had to talk about Liza today because if you went over Liza, because I had to, because I already had Ben.
Uh-oh.
No, I mean, but this is a compliment. But I mean, we're saying it because I just brought in Brig Hart's son, Daniel Hart's, come on as a sponsor for the Clown
Wow.
Pound. Yeah,
So that would be Dave Hart's nephew.
and that's what I said in the phone. I had a 45
I kept saying,
minute,
Dave. You mean
I had
Dave?
a
You
45
mean
minute
Dave?
conversation with him and his wife Destiny, who is married. That's Eric Holliday's daughter.
No, it is
Isn't
not.
that- yes, it is, dude. So Eric
Are they?
Holiday,
They're Amway.
his father
like-
Brig was, and
Yeah.
they did. That's how he started his fortune and all that. But Daniel and Destiny live in the Keys, and they started a flooring company for boats.
Wow.
Yeah, like CDAC, like whatever. So anyhow, Eric Holiday called me the other day, and I was having a conversation with my girlfriend Piper.
Shout out to Eric Holiday.
Eric Holiday, you don't mess with the enforcer.
You don't.
You don't mess with that guy. So anyhow, I'm talking to Piper on the phone, and I look and on something I see, I'm getting a call from Eric Holiday. Now, Eric Holiday and I could walk up, and we'd be like, I haven't seen you, and he's not going to complain because I haven't called him. So, but also when he calls, you answer. So I told Piper, hey, I got to go. I got Eric Holiday. So Eric Holiday's on the phone going, Chip, how are you? And I said, Eric, how are you doing? And we spoke, and then he started telling about his daughter Destiny and her husband Daniel Hart started this company, which is a flooring company. And then I had that question, and he says, you know who his dad is? And I said, is anything related to the Harts, like Dave Hart and then Brig Hart? He said, yeah, that's his dad is Brig Hart, and
Wow.
Dave Hart is his uncle. And the cool thing about it is, talking to Daniel today, you would never known, his dad is well-to-do, but he's just like with,
Amway royalty, isn't
Yeah,
it?
well, and he had the big compound in Ponte Beach. And
no,
I told him,
Roscoe Road.
right next to
Palm
Barbara
Valley.
Jean's. Right,
Palm Valley.
Yeah,
Valley.
they were on the ground floor. when
Well,
it
he
happened.
sold that one, and then he moved down to the south. And so I told him, I'd say, can I meet your father? Because I've ripped so many lips off his docks in Palm Valley.
Right.
And you know what he said to me? Because his dad is like a motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Now he doesn't do he teaches people how to live your dreams and create wealth and do it the right way and all that. And he said, Chip, my dad would love to meet you. Because his Daniel and them had vetted what I've done with the Flounder Pounder, which is very complimentary to me. And I
haven't had a chance to say the Flounder Pounder, man. What you do for autism, man.
Well, thank you, man.
I got to give you, man.
Well, thanks.
I brag about you, man.
Well, thank you, John. And I don't go around. I think I don't really have to speak to hear, but to hear somebody call me, and especially Daniel Hart, and I'm not really woed by a lot of things. Like I said, Bingers Shell is my title sponsor, but they are so into wanting to be a part of something great that I've built. And it doesn't hurt that his dad is Brig Hart and Dave Hart. I said, how's your uncle? Hart's surf shop. Yeah, remember it's on 3rd Street. Now it's a dog grooming store.
Yeah, we don't need to mention the
No. But anyhow, hey, listen, that was part of the Alan Rigg,
Jimmy Harshman,
Sean Madison, and the boys. HK, Harry Kennedy. One of my favorite boards I ever had was an HK. I bought an Atlanta Surf Shop. It was a 5'8" swallowtail, and it had a big. Remember, he had the Superman logo and it said HK.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
And I got it used.
Harry Kennedy.
Yeah, HK, Harry Kennedy. And I bought it used, and shout out to HK. I don't know if he's still kicking, but anyhow, so I got the call today, and I just thought it was really cool. I don't know how I circled around and got to that, but
because you're Chip Davis.
I am Chip Davis, and but I am getting pumped about.
Speaking of surfers, though, you got a neighbor.
Oh man, I got it. For those who want to hear that now.
The man, the wood carving genius.
This is the greatest story.
He's tall to be a good surfer.
Dude, that guy will absolutely whip your ass.
Oh no! You want that guy on your side.
That's what I tell people. He's on my team. But
I said from day one, Rob Kovac is my friend, or I'm not going to be anywhere near.
And you know what? I really didn't know Rob until I met him through Sean, and and Chip used to talk a lot about him, but I never met Rob Kovac. Well, now he is my neighbor. He moved in 2 doors down from me. He left the whole Neptune Beach scene because he wanted some tranquility.
And he had a badass house out there too.
And he had a nice house. Yeah, I think that was his house that he grew up in.
He's a legend.
He's a legend.
Neptune Beach legend. Hey, shout out to Neptune Beach.
Neptune Beach, Jax Beach.
Born and raised. Orlando Court.
And I'm a transplant. I moved to the beach in 1985, so I grew up on the west side. So I think I am a townie. So talking about this story real quick. I got this call from Metcalf. He's like, hey, man, I've got this surfboard that belonged to Rob Kovac's best friend, Donnie. What was his last name?
Jensen.
He had 3 boards made by Rozo in 2005. And Rob Kovac and him were best friends, grew up surfing together. I mean, I was looking at pictures. I didn't realize how much of a ripper Rob Kovac was until he showed me the picture of Porto.
He's a Porto master.
Yeah, I mean, he made that wave look small, but he reminds me a lot of like the Hawaiian guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But he has that build like Johnny Boy had.
If you've surfed
Johnny Boy and Sonny Garcia, he just has that, like, the wave doesn't rule him. He beats the fuck out of the wave.
If you surfed Escondido and saw his
I saw him.
Puerto Escondido and saw his pictures, you understand that wave is not as easy as it looks.
And we were talking about Pasquales and all that. I mean, I went to Mexico one time, back in 1998. So long story short, so Metcalf says, hey, Chip, I'm going to come over. That's when we were kind of prepping, getting ready for the show. And he says, I had this surfboard that somehow it ended up in your hands, and it was
I bought it from Mitch Kaufman. And Donnie passed away 2 years ago. Something like that, yes. And then as I was, the board, I don't want to sound like I'm on any kind of hallucinogenics, but I had a dream, and the board said, "Hey, do you know Rob Kovac?" And I was like, of all the people to pull up, yeah. And it said, "You need to take me there." And I woke up thinking, well, no more drinking before bed, what I mean. But then it didn't end, and so I looked into it, and I called Rob, and Rob's a busy man, and finally we got together, and
we filmed it in my backyard.
Yeah, it turns out to be one of his a copy of his board.
They got his best friend. He made 3 Rozos, and they were killer because they remind me like a Barton Lynch, like just a ripper, like Tom Carroll. It was those who don't know, it had channels.
It did. So
people don't have channels. I mean, from what I see on board, so it was a swallow. It's 6-7, right?
No, it's
7-1.
7-0.
7-0 Rozo, swallowtail.
I don't think it's swallow. But anyways,
yeah, it is. It wasn't. It was a swallowtail.
Okay, swallow, but it had heavy channels all the way out, and it was a little bit wide and real thick, For
Rozo was ahead of his time.
He's still
Rozo has always been.
He's in the Surfing Hall of Fame, and he's on my wall out there wearing a Flounder Pounder hoodie.
So Rozo coined a term when I was younger, and I'm sure other people have heard this, but I was on my way to Puerto Escondido. I said, Rosa, I need like a 7.0 that's going to get me into the waves but still allow me to turn. He goes, oh, you need what I call a mustard cutter. And he made me one, and that was my favorite board.
And he made that. Like,
oh, he looked at me and he like sized me up, and next thing I know, I'm riding this thing, and I'm like, I'm never buying another surfboard from him.
Yeah, Rosa's boards are
Rat Town. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh yeah, I had the bat.
He has a little rat.
I had the rat. I had the bat. I had the shaka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dick built.
So we're gonna get back. So what happened? So Rob Kovac lives two doors down from me, and we called him. He just it was on a Saturday. It'll be 2 weeks this weekend coming up, and we called Rob, and John's like, hey Rob, I'm here. Can you come now? And he said, yeah, I'm on my way. And and so Rob walks through my backyard, and I said, come through the gate. So he walks through the gate. It's like, and he comes around. He's such just a huge presence.
Oh,
and he walked right by the board, and so he comes over, and I said, hey, and John's like, hey, we got something we want to give you, and he goes, oh, really? He said, yeah. I said, we put it right around the corner there. He goes,
I'm not in the business of giving away things.
I know, but I'm gonna finish the story because I want to interject afterwards because then I'll shut up. So Rob, and those you can go on my Facebook page or my Instagram page and look at the reel, and the reel like got 3,000-4,000 views. And Rob Kovac, which is like you said, he's a legend at the beach. And I mean, this is like a guy. If you went to war, you want him on your side. Not trying to kill you. I'm not saying he would, but he would. He could quickly. Anyhow, so he walked around the corner and grabbed the surfboard, came around and said, this is a grown-ass man. And he looked at it, and John's like, you know that board? I can sell it. And he goes, yeah, dude, this is my best friend's board that passed away 2 years ago. How did you get this? He says, it was an epiphany, man. I had a dream. And I surfed Typhoon Lagoon with it. Mitch Kaufman gave it to me.
He didn't give it to me. He sold it to me.
Well, he sold it to you. And now it's like, this is my board to give to you.
Yeah, it belonged to Rob. It was his board.
It just turned out to be such a great story. And
we should get him on.
Yeah, well, he's my neighbor. He'd love to come in. Rob.
So we haven't even touched on his artistic abilities. This guy.
Oh
yeah.
Look what he did with the shark.
The shark is so big. He gave me the honor. He thought he was thanking me, but I was thinking him.
Met him. Yeah.
He let me go and shoot his pieces, and we did the black backdrop, and I probably didn't even make it near as good as it looked in person. Like, it didn't do it justice, but he allowed me to go and shoot his stuff, and it's like so cool just to see. Yeah. And I think the board y'all are talking about, he did a tribute. I think it looks like a wave, and it's some fanned out wood. If it's the same piece I'm thinking of, I think the
thing about it is there's one more missing. He has two.
Right.
So he has this. He's got
anybody
two of them.
out there knows where the other board is made for Donnie Jensen.
There was 3 made, and Kovacs has 2, and
we need to find that other one.
Made for Rob. I'm not
if you
sure
guys know, let us know.
Anybody knows, let us know.
Big shout out to Rob Kovac, man.
Big shout.
Rob Kovac.
Rob Kovac.
That was a great video, but hey, pick up that guitar, man. I need a riff. I need a little riff.
Just show us a little something.
This has been just an amazing show, everyone, because my producer over here is just like buck wild that we don't have somebody, we're not talking fishing. And I love that right there.
And then there's
I
this
would
guy.
just love to be like, you're ready to come on, you're ready.
I've got goosebumps.
And they can just hand me the microphone, and I can just be walking through, like high-fiving everybody. And I walk on stage.
I'm about to turn your mic off.
Don't turn me off. And there's 90,000 people, and my guitar player is kicking that right there. And the crowd goes crazy. Wow.
John Metcalf.
John Metcalf, bro. Speechless. And I don't get speechless very often.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Love it. I wanted this show for so long.
I'm happy for Patrick. Hey, real quick, can we talk about something else? Because I don't want to get lost. I want to talk about something that, without being all over the place, and John had mentioned this as we were kind of queuing him up on questions before we went and recorded the show.
Oh, that's Nevaeh.
Hope it wasn't me.
I don't have anybody out front because my ring, anyhow.
She's the mascot.
She is a mascot. We love her. So anyhow, as John was in here warming up and talking about stuff, we hit on something that your father was a retired naval pilot?
Yes, he is a retired commander in the Navy.
That's
okay.
Awesome. He flew jets for the military out of Pensacola, hence Florida. Now, I was actually born in Monterey, California, but that's what it says on my birth certificate. I'm, instantly in first grade and, Mayport, living on.
Yeah, because he transferred
over, and he flew for the Navy for a while and then went on to be some communications officer, which then ended us moving us down to Puerto Rico for a while. So I was in Puerto
so
Rico.
you lived in PR?
I lived in Puerto Rico for 3rd and 4th grade, and then came back. And then when I was down there, I fell in love with the island. So I was, even though I was young, I was very familiar with the island. So it was easy when I turned 18 to go back, and that's part of the reason why I met up with Dennis Rich. But interestingly enough, about my dad was a pilot in the Navy, and my mother was also a pilot in the Navy. In the 60s, women were, it wasn't the greatest time, so women weren't allowed to actually pilot the plane. They could be co-pilots. And
isn't that weird?
It is weird, but
they needed the Me Too movement back
then.
then.
They did, but this was 1961.
I know.
62. So my dad met my mother in Pensacola, and just recently, they drove out. They're up there in age. They drove out to Pensacola to get a picture in their late 80s where they met. And of all the times they went to go to Pensacola to do that, it was the one time that it snowed in Pensacola. Recently, so they've got a picture of the snow.
Isn't that crazy how close it was
not
to
even
us?
how, no Pensacola snow
Goes
ever
in
happens.
tight.
So, but anyway, my parents are both Navy.
Nice.
Well, thank you for their service, because a lot of people don't. It's not just the person that was in the military. You travel.
Well, you
with
can
them,
tell how
so
you're
you put
influenced,
up with
John.
it. So
I came from
their service.
I came from a Navy background. My
Not
dad
to
was in
mention-
the Navy. He was an
yeah.
officer, but
Not to mention the culture growing up. I mean, mad respect for everything. Stood for TAPS. Understood the meaning of freedom, and that it doesn't come free.
well, you never wanted to get in trouble and embarrass your father. Remember, I was telling you about the
or face the consequences.
and that's kind of how it is when you were raised in a military
Right,
family. My
because,
dad did 21 years in the Navy. He wasn't.
I think it was a great upbringing,
And-
and I got a mad shout out to my parents, Bob and Mary Jane Metcalf. Come on.
Big shout out to them for raising such an awesome son. And like I said, my mother passed away in 2020. She was a Navy wave, and she was one of the first 4 women in Guam. My mom was true-blooded Guamanian to go and enlist.
What's her name?
Anna Venezuela Castro.
Wow.
That's my mom, and she passed away, and my father's still alive, and they met in San Francisco because my dad was in the Navy, and she enlisted and became a Navy wave in '56, and they met in San Francisco, and then my mom retired, and she did Silver Service, and she retired at 55. They gave her I said, Mom, nobody retires at 55. So my mom passed away in 2020. My dad's still living. He's 88. He did 21 years in the Navy. I think he brought me up. Remember when I was telling you about the guys wanting to go through the exit sign, and I was like, it's 50 cents, guys. We don't need to go through that. And we got busted because we didn't want to. We went through Hanna Park, and I was like, I just never really wanted to embarrass my father. I think that was a military upbringing.
It is.
It wasn't like it was strict military. It was just you just knowing that your father was in the Navy, you just kind of raised a different way. We traveled to the last place my dad was stationed was Guantanamo Bay.
Wow.
I lived there from 70 to 74. That's where I got my fishing. And then we moved here in 74, and I went to the beach. I go, what the hell is this? I was I was used to blue water. Guantanamo Bay is a beautiful place.
Unless you're getting waterboarded.
Well, I wasn't getting waterboarded, but they might be now.
Well, I gotta tell you though, the other thing is that I have 3 sons. Shout out
I didn't know that, John.
Christian Metcalf, Bain Metcalf, and London Metcalf.
Heck yeah.
Christian and Bain are killing it surfing. You catch Bain out. But
what's their ages, if you don't mind me asking?
27, 22, and London, my youngest, will be 18 this month.
Damn. So
You got your hands full.
Well, yeah, they've kind of grown.
they're all brothers.
Yeah,
Brothers,
they're brothers. But my 2 oldest ones, Christian and Bain, they killing it surfing. We've been to Puerto Rico a number of times, and if any day there's waves, you'll catch my son Bain out there.
Well, maybe I need to
they
get.
carry on the legacy.
I think I need to get with them and take some pictures. I think. Possibly.
Yeah,
I think that.
look for the name Bain Metcalf.
Yeah, for sure. But I had the same situation. My dad was Air Force, but he was a deputy United States Marshal. So I would rather go to jail than embarrass him.
Exactly.
That's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt.
And they're first to throw the book at somebody and make an example on the news in the paper of a law enforcement's kid or military's kid. So
I think we all have that same upbringing. We weren't the guys who were going to go get in trouble. I was looking to get away from
I got in
trouble.
trouble.
I wasn't an angel, but I wasn't an angel. But I was
Unfortunately,
always.
I still got in trouble.
you
Well, but
just try not to get caught.
You just knew there was a limit that you never wanted to do. There was friends I grew up with that didn't have a limit.
I contemplated running away.
Yeah. Or not having a roof over your head and you wait for your dad to get home. You're like,
So it was I mean, we all look at where we are. We're all successful. I mean,
And
so
we just,
we
and I
raised
think
up.
honestly, I think we just did the best show. I don't know if we're gonna do another segment only because I think sometimes you can drag them on. I think this will be a 1 hour show, but I have to tell you right now, I think
Dude, I had a blast.
I think sitting here and talking to John Metcalf is like talking to honestly like a superstar, man. I mean, when you play a guitar and I mean, there's
Guitar?
a guitar.
The guitar.
I you know, it's like I'm interviewing somebody that it's just very really humbling to be able to sit up here, and I think I've done a really good job of interviewing and not like walking.
Well, it switched from interview to conversation, which is good.
Well, but also giving John and because he was a little apprehensive about getting on, you kind of didn't know what to expect in the podcast. There you go.
That's what he thinks
So
about
why don't I just shut up,
John-
let him play?
Real quick though, John, what do you think about the setup and everything?
Yeah, how do you like it?
How was
You
your
guys,
experience,
this is
man?
absolutely
Is it
amazing.
fun, John? Isn't it cool?
I am going to be a huge subscriber to 904. You guys should, because this is awesome. Chip's awesome.
We appreciate it, man.
Everybody here is
We
awesome.
put a lot of heart into this.
We really do. And I mean, and like and subscribe. I know it sounds kind of.
Neva is awesome. Which, by
Yeah.
the way, is what? Heaven spelled backwards?
Nevea.
Nevea.
Nevea, that's it, Nevea.
She's our mascot.
She's,
See, John, look.
she's up here too.
Oh, jeez. But yes, it's absolutely fantastic setup here.
I think having it here in my house, John, makes it kind of like, I mean,
The
obviously
hospitality has been amazing.
the hospitality, and you have just been like an amazing
I have
Mix and Irie.
I have to say whatever. What is this again?
Mix and Irie.
Mix and Irie.
Mix- yeah, it's really.
Hey, and I told
Really
Nick, I
good,
said,
you
Nick,
guys.
what the hell is in this stuff? Because every time I drink it, man, it really gives me not a hangover. You know what Nick said? Because it's so funny because I've watched Nick and his brother Jacob and them grow up, being, they were young kids getting all the Flounder Pounder gear from their dad, and now he's a badass. And big shout out to Nick Rochelle, love you, brother. We love the Mix and Irie, but I'm gonna shut the hell up.
Let's get on out of here.
Come on, take us home, John.
us
Take
out.
us home, baby.
We gone.
Peace.